Hi guys, how are we doing? Welcome to 10 Health and Fitness Instagram. We are going to be doing our Wednesday stretch class this evening with myself, Leah. I'm senior trainer here at 10 Health and Fitness. Hi, welcome. I'm going to wait for a couple more to jump on. We're going to do a nice full body stretch today. Hi Sandra. All you're going to need is yourself, your mat, and I've got a block here for my head for later on, but a cushion or a pillow if you haven't got a block. Either of those will be absolutely fine. Hi Joe, hi Sandy, welcome guys, nice to have you. We're going to be doing a stretch class in just a moment. Hi, okay, there's a few of us here, so let's get moving. As always guys, please do follow the advice of your medical professionals or physios if you have any injuries. I'll give you notifications throughout, and if you've got any questions, do just pop them in the chat and I'll try and keep an eye on that as well. Alright, let's start just standing on our mats. And we're going to take the feet just about hip distance apart. We're going to soften slightly through the knees, and let's just take our little rock from one side to the other, just transferring that weight from one foot to the next, and then coming to rest right in the center, so right in the middle, so that we've got that nice equal weight placement already. Now from here, we're going to start to roll the chin down towards the chest, heavy head, and then slowly raise it back up again into a facing me. Just at the moment. Breath in as we lower. Breath out as we lift. Good, 2 more of these. Back to center. Now this time I want you to just turn your palms to me. Reach your fingers down to the floor. Draw those fingertips towards your mat. You're going to drop your ear over to your shoulder, but we're not doing this. We're not bringing the body or the shoulder with us. Just the head, ear to shoulder. Breath in. Exhale, change. Start to focus on that breathing now. Breathing in through the nose. You're going to fill up the bottom of the lungs. Feel the back and sides of the rib cage expanding. And then as you breathe out, empty completely, deflating, releasing any tension. Okay, last one. We're going to take it into a little semicircle. So heavy head rolling down, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Breathe in when you get there and breathe out to roll. Notice that it's just the head moving at the moment. The body's not getting involved. We've still got that bit of rotation, opening out the hands. Stay nice and tall through the spine. Last one. Back to center. When we give the shoulders a little roll, just check for me you're still in the middle of your feet. You're not sitting into one side now, right in the center there. Crown of the head drawing up towards the ceiling. You're going to breathe in, raise those shoulders, rolling them back all the way. And I want you to try and feel just a nice full circle, full range of motion in those shoulders. Just 2 more. And then we're going to roll it forwards. Rolling forwards and down, back and up. Okay, so one more. Now this time, last one, we're going to come out to the side. So I'm going to come to a T shape. Palms to me, reaching those fingertips away. And I want you to try and make sure that you've not got your shoulders up by your ears. So we're going to press gently down with our arms, as if we were pressing down on some countertops, some imaginary countertops underneath those armpits there. Now I want you to keep your hips still. Laser lights pointed straight forwards, they can't twist in either direction. The upper body, the rib cage, is going to rotate on the top. Keep pressing down on those countertops. My arms are stuck out at the sides, like the wings of an aeroplane. They can't move forwards or backwards. We're going to inhale, grow tall in the middle. Exhale, twist. Inhale, grow tall in the middle. We've still got equal weight through our feet, so don't lean onto one foot as you twist. Try and keep them both pushed down into the floor. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, grow tall in the center. So we're starting to create a bit of rotation, a bit of spiral through the thoracic spine. So that kind of mid-upper part of the back can get really stiff and sore if we're spending a lot of time hunched over and in static positions. So keeping that moving, making sure we've got a good range of movement through that rotation so that we don't injure ourselves when we try and twist around. Last one. This time, when we come back to the center, We're going to bring the arms in front, palms face towards each other, shoulder blades are still drawn down towards my back pockets, and I'm going to raise the arms up. Now as they open out, instead of going directly to my sides, we're going to go slightly back behind me and slightly feel a bit of a chest stretch. Not so far though, that I'm leaning my whole body backwards and sticking the ribs out. So ribs are just knitted together at the front, stacked on top of the pelvis. We come through the middle, we circle up and round. Feel that chest stretch. All the way, and again, good. We're going to inhale, raise. Exhale, circle. Pulling through the fingertips for a nice wide circle. Check the weight placement through the feet. Last one. And give those shoulders a little roll. We're going to come into our roll downs. So I'm going to stand to the side of my mat, toes pointed forwards, and again, have that little rock. Soften the knees slightly, make sure we're right in the middle of our feet. Toes are spread out and relaxed into the mat. Now our hips are going to stay on top of our ankles, so no sticking the bum out behind you. Keeping those legs in that nice long vertical line. Now I'm going to peel through my spine from the top to bottom, one vertebra at a time. So thinking of each vertebra like a pearl on a string. We're going to inhale, grow. Exhale, dropping the head, so from top to bottom, don't rush. Only one vertebra at a time is going to peel over. Peeling forwards off of our spinal column. Use your tummy muscles to stop you from doing anything funky with the pelvis. So keeping those abs to keep those pelvis stacked. And then rolling another vertebra, another one. Try and get each one to move individually, but there'll be certain points of your spine that don't move quite so freely, different for all of us. You'll want to move in a big block of vertebrae, but try not to let that happen. Try and get each one peeling off in sequence. Heavy head at the bottom, give it a shake. Let it go. Take a nice deep breath in. As you breathe out, draw your pelvic floor up, lift your tummy up away from your thighs. So we're already engaging those deep muscles that we're going to need to stabilize us so that we can move each articulation individually. One vertebra at a time, restacking. Head's the last thing to lift. Now we're going to do that once more, but this time we're going to stay down at the bottom. So we're going to roll all the way down and then we're going to hang out there. Breathe in, grow tall. Breathing out, lowering the chin to the chest. Let the arms go loose. Make sure for me that you're not collapsing the arches of your feet. We've still got equal weight placement through each one. We're not locking the knees. Let everything go. At the bottom, have a second just to draw some little circles with your fingertips with really heavy, loose arms hanging in those shoulder joints. Now we're going to start to walk the hands away and bend the knees down into the floor. Coming into a 4-point position. I'm going to keep my toes tucked for a moment. I'm going to take a nice deep breath in here. And as I breathe out, I'm going to press back a little bit like your shell stretch. I'm just stretching the back of my toes and the arches of my feet. Whatever's a good range for you, you can feel a nice stretch. Breathe into it and then breathe out and come off. And you do just want to be careful that your ankles stay straight, so they don't roll outwards or inwards. They stay parallel and in line with your hips. And then from here, I'm going to release the feet now. I'm going to come into my cat and cow stretch. So knees under hips, hands under shoulders. We start in a nice tabletop back. We take a breath in to prepare. As we breathe out, we're going to tuck our tail between our legs and start to roll through that spine into flexion, into our C shape. So we're looking between our legs. We've got our tail tucked between our legs. And I want you to imagine you've got someone holding a piece of string on the middle vertebra of your spine and pulling it up towards the ceiling. So it's that curved C shape that we're looking for. When we breathe in, you should feel the lungs filling up to increase that stretch in the back. And then on your next out breath, we're going to move to our cow stretch. So you're going to roll your sit bones up, ripple through that spine into a gentle extension, pushing the mat away, so be careful not to sink in the shoulders, staying active. Breath in when you get to end range, breath out, rolling that tail under, curving through the spine back to our C shape. I want you to do 3 more of those, guys, with an inhale at end range and exhale to move. Just going to check in and see if everyone's okay. Are we all right? Fab. All right, guys, if you have any questions, do pop them in the chat and I'll try and get to them. After this last one, we're going to come all the way back to our neutral tabletop in the middle here. From there, we're just going to place the toes together and press the bum back towards the heels, walking the hands away. Let the head hang, let the elbows and shoulders go soft, and just take 3 nice deep breaths in and out here, feeling the back expanding and then deflating. And then we're slowly coming back up. And we're going to take the knees now out a little wider. The feet are going to come with us. So knees and feet, they're going to go roughly to the side edges of your mat. So you might find that's a bit much for you. You might find you want to go a little bit further. From here, we're going to press our hips back. And we're looking for a stretch. So it's just like a shell stretch. But this time, we should feel that stretch through the inner thighs. And you might want to lower your elbows. It's going to depend on your range. Or you might want to stay up here. We're going to breathe in when we get there, and then breathe out to come back. Just work with a range that's comfortable for you. We don't want any knee pain. Take that moment to breathe in when you get to the end of your range, and then coming slowly back. We're going to do one more, and we're going to hold it this time. So find a good stretch for you and hold it there. Breathing into that space. You might be on the hands or on the elbows, or you might want to reach a little bit further away. Nice deep breathing into the back of the lungs. For another 10 seconds. Adjust if you need to. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Walk the hands in. And walk the knees in here as well. From here, you're going to slowly come up so that the head is the last thing to lift. And we're going to start to open out through our hip flexors a little bit more. So we'll start with our right foot coming forwards. Left knee is still underneath the hip. I'm going to tuck my tailbone underneath so that I'm really squeezing on my back glute. We never want the bum stuck out behind us. Keep it tucked right in. So we've got our posterior pelvic tilt. We're going to keep our ribs drawn down to the hips as well so that there's no extension in the back and all the extension is coming from the hip. From there, we're going to start to bend that right knee forwards. Take a breath into the stretch. Make sure there's none of this banana back happening. Keep those ribs in. Once you've taken your breath in at end range, we're going to breathe out and come off. And it's just a small movement, gently easing into that hip flexor. So we should be feeling that through these muscles here, into that psoas. These muscles can get quite short if we're spending a lot of time in a seated position where they're all crunched up. So you want to spend a bit of time now creating some length through here, getting a bit active through that back glute as well, just to counter that muscle imbalance that might have been created and help make us less prone to injury. Now on this next one, I'd like you to hold. So squeezing on that back glute, find that little tail tuck, pressing through the right knee. And we're going to reach the opposite arm, so that's opposite to front leg, up and over into a side bend. Hold on if you need to. Equally, guys, if you do need a cushion under your knee, if you've got a hard floor, that is absolutely fine. Do try and keep your hips in the middle so that we're not swinging them over to one side and that they're nice and square. Keep breathing into that stretch. We're adding in that oblique stretch now, lengthening from the hip to the waist for another 10 seconds if you can. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming slowly in. We're going to turn this foot now so that the toe points up to the ceiling. You might want to hold on to something, see how you're feeling. From here, I'm going to place my hands either side. Now, if that is a little bit much for you, you can just work on this level here, reaching forwards or holding on to something reaching forwards with that other hand. But what we want to make sure is that the hips aren't twisting. We've got this hip lined up over that back knee, both hips facing forwards, possibly those hands down. We want the toes pulled up towards us, level with these hip bones so we're not hiking up either. And we're going to work with soft elbows and soft shoulders. My back is released, and I'm going to just breathe into that space. Nice deep breathing into the back of the lungs. Breathing out, pressing the hips back behind you. So rather than thinking of leaning forwards, I want you to think of your hips being pulled back behind you. And we're going to stay here for another 10 seconds. Just for 5. No shoulders by ears. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to come back through that lunge. And then if and when you're ready, hold on if you need to. Bring that foot in and change going back. So the other one is coming forwards. Foot underneath, hips lined up and square. From here, we're going to start with our hip flexor stretch. So it tucks under with that tail, no angle here. Keep that lengthened, glute squeeze on the back. We come into that stretch, we take a breath in when we get there, and we breathe out to come off, still keeping our tucked tail. You might find you need to adjust the front foot forward slightly, see how you're getting on. Should be feeling this into that front hip now. Being careful not to lean backwards or stick our ribs out. We're still maintaining our rib to hip connection so that all of that extension is happening in the hip rather than just in the back. We're going to do a couple more here, and then we're going to go into our hold. So finishing off this one that you're on, we're going to do one more and come into a hold. Hold on if you need to. There's opposite hand to the leg that's in front. We reach up and over through a side bend, so we're sliding our rib cage away from that anchored hip bone to create that stretch in the oblique, as well as through that hip here. Keep breathing into it, nice deep breaths. Try to keep those hips square, try to keep the abdominals engaged. For another 10 seconds. Keep breathing here just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Same foot forwards now for our calf and hamstring stretch. So we're going to turn the toes up, reach down in front, square up our hips, looking straight ahead of you. From here, you're going to pull the toes up and pop those hands either down in front or reached out. Option to hold onto your wall and reach forward. See how you're getting on. If you're coming down into this position, I'm going to have the back relaxed. I'm going to soften the elbows and shoulders and just make sure that we're not lifting up one hip. So keeping those hips level. We don't want our shoulders up by our ears and neck tension here. So just breathing into that space. Now as you breathe out, you're going to press the hips back behind you. Trying to get that a little bit deeper. For the last 10 seconds, keep breathing here. And for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to come back through that lunge, and then when you're ready, bring the foot in. Have a second to kneel. Give those shoulders a little roll out. We're going to come onto our front. I'm just going to move my block slightly to the side so that it's not in my way. Walking the hands away, walking the knees away till we can lower down onto the tummy. And I'm going to have my hands just in by my chest and my elbows relaxed by my waist. Nose is pointed to the mat, legs are hip distance apart. And we're going to start just with a little bit of thoracic extension. So we're going to breathe in and start to raise our chest just off the floor. And then we're going to breathe out and come back down. Now as you breathe in, your shoulder blades are drawing down to your back pockets. The back of the neck stays aligned. That means I'm not lifting my chin up. I'm still looking at my mat or just over the top of it to the floor. And then slowly coming down. Just work within a range that's comfortable. We don't want any pain in the back here. And we want a nice open chest. So if you're feeling that your shoulders are too tense, try taking the hands out a little bit wider. and working here. Now, if you've got the range and you've not got any lower back issues, we're going to take that into a bit more of a full spinal extension. So this time as you breathe in, draw those shoulder blades down towards your back pockets, raising the chest, and I'm going to press my hands this time into the floor. I'm going to raise with a nice wide collarbone and length through the back of the neck. And then I'm going to slowly lower down through the elbows, keeping some abdominal engagement so the back stays protected and we stay in control. All the way back to where we started, and then repeat. And remember, if you do need to adjust the hands, that's fine. Just keep making sure that we're not sitting these shoulders up by our ears, we're drawing them down with us. Slowly down. We're going to do a couple more here and then a hold on the end. Remember, if it's better for you today to just work through this motion, that's absolutely fine. Working on countering that hunched, kyphotic, rounded upper back posture that we tend to do a lot during the day, especially if we're desk bound at the moment or in more compromised working from home positions. So we're working to do the opposite, activating a little through the upper back. And those muscles that are often overstretched, we're contracting them now, whilst we stretch through the chest muscles and through the front of the abdominals. This next one we're going to hold if we can. So find your position either in that thoracic extension or all the way up. Tummy's engaged, shoulders drawn down, softness through the elbows so there's no pressure on the joint, and just breathing into that space. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and slowly lowering down all the way to the bottom. And from here, I'm just going to take one hand onto my foot that's bending in towards me. You might want to stay there, that might be enough for you, or you might want to come into your rocking prep. If you're coming into your rocking prep, we're going to take both legs together, and I'm going to start to open my chest. As I open my chest, I'm going to push my feet into my hands and start to lengthen through the front of my thighs and hips. So I should feel that stretch through the front of the shoulders into those pec muscles and the front of the legs into the quads and hip flexors. I'm going to slowly lower down. If this is too much, guys, I want you to stick with this hold about 10 seconds and then changing over and alternating. Okay. So whichever one is feeling better for you today. If it's too much with the one leg, have a go at just using a band or a scarf to give you a bit more range so that you're holding the band around the foot rather than the foot itself. If anyone is stuck with that, do just let me know. We're going to inhale to come up and exhale to come down. Just a controlled range, guys, don't force it. We're going to do a few more there. I'm just going to check we're all okay in the chat. Did anyone have any questions on that? Are we all alright? No questions, guys? Alrighty. Do let me know if you need my help with anything. Now the next one, if it feels good for you, we're going to take a hold. Otherwise, just keep going as you are, whichever variation you're working with today. Pressing the feet into the hands, opening through the chest, length through the back of the neck, and just breathing here. Nice deep inflate and deflate. For another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming all the way down. We're going to release the feet one at a time. Bring the hands back to where they started. And then pressing from the chest back to our shoulder stretch. Bum onto the heels and nice deep breathing. Stay there for me. We're going to stay for another 10 seconds. Just reset that breathing. Open up the back. And then slowly roll the body up so that the head is the last thing to lift. We're going to come into our open books next. So you're going to want your block or your cushion at the end of the mat. And we're going to lie down onto our side, facing me to start with. And we're going to have the arms outstretched in front of us. and the knees bent up in front of the hips. So I've got a 90-degree angle at the knee and at the hip there. Shoulders are stacked. You've got that support under the neck so that the neck stays in line, and the palms are reached out with the fingertips hopefully just meeting perfectly at the end there because those shoulders are stacked. Now I don't want this arm to go too high, so as you raise the top arm, I want you to try and keep it at chest height so that we don't have our shoulder up by our ear. We've got that shoulder blade drawn down because those fingertips are reaching out and away. Now they're going to keep reaching out and they're going to draw a circle back behind me. So I'm looking at my hand as I reach back, rather than just flopping your arm to the floor, really pull through the fingertips. So I'm trying to reach that wall. Take a deep breath in when you've gone as far as you can, and then slowly close that book. And you do want to make sure your block or your cushion is pushed back a little so that when you turn around, your neck is still supported. And this is the upper body rotating and a nice chest stretch. So what you need to do is anchor the lower body. So your top hip stays stacked on the bottom one, as if someone was stood behind you, pressing your top hip forwards to stop it from rolling back with you. So nothing from the hips down should be moving. Think of squeezing the knees together. We're going to do a few more, keep it moving, and then we'll go into a hold shortly. Inhale at end range before we breathe out and close. Really make sure we're really pulling out. Create space in that shoulder. Don't just sink and flop and roll around. Reach. So actively drawing that circle. That's what's going to give you that lovely chest stretch. Next one we do, we're going to hold. So reaching up. Reaching back around. Look at your hand. Keep those knees together. Imagine someone sat behind you, just pushing that top hip forwards as we reach back behind us. So we've got that sort of two-way stretching happening. Deep breathing for another 10 seconds. And then slowly close that book. Good. Release the hands, so you can just roll straight over where you are. We're going to do this on the second side, so you can just turn your back to me and reach out on the second side. I'm just going to come over to the other side of the mat so that I can still see the chat. And of course you've got your second arm this time. Make sure again that your knees are right in front of your hips. So we've got a 90 degree at both the hip and the knees. Shoulders and hips stacked. We're reaching up, drawing that big semicircle with the fingertips. Opening out through the chest. Take a breath in at end range. And then breathe out and close. Good. Make sure again that your head is completely supported when you turn around. So we've got the head following the fingertips. Still think of that top hip pulling forwards. If it helps, for a couple of reps, you can have a go at holding that hip in place, just to give you that feedback as you reach back behind you. We're going to do 2 more, and then hold. So we're going to hold this next one. Reaching around. Nice big reach, big circle. Keep thinking of that top hip pulling forwards. Opening out, pulling back behind you. Really try and widen that collarbone. Keep breathing into that space that's stretching. Fill it up. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's close those books. We're going to use the hands to walk ourselves up to a seated position. Just have a moment to give the shoulders a little roll. Nice deep roll back and forwards, coming back to those semicircles. keeping a wide collarbone. Hopefully that's all feeling a little bit looser now. And then coming back to center. And give yourselves a clap, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're feeling a little bit more mobile this Wednesday evening. Any questions, please do pop them in the chat, or you can send them to me in a message to 10 Health and Fitness, or directly to me at the Pilates Perspective. I will be popping this onto IGTV, guys, if anyone wants to go back, if they missed any of it, or wants to do it again. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. See you later.